What's going on, everybody? Frank from 5AM Ramen here, and I am back in Osaka. Osaka just has an insane amount of great ramen shops, and as such, I always find myself coming back here to cross off the list. Today, we're focusing on the Fukushima district of Osaka. This is known maybe as Osaka's most highly competitive ramen neighborhood. There's a crazy amount of great ramen shops in Fukushima. The theme, as is often the case down here in Kansai, is going to be heavier ramen. I hope I'm ready, because the ramen, when I say heavy, is going to be richer, thicker, a filling ramen style is what they like down here. Anyways, without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so the first place I'm visiting today is Mitsuboshi Seimenjo. Seimenjo would suggest they make their own noodles, and that's the case here. And on top of that, they're known for a rich chicken and pork-based soup. Different menu items to choose from, and I'm kind of torn between whether I get the ramen, the dipping ramen, or their soupless ramen. All three look fantastic. Maybe I'll get two. Always going to be back in Osaka, and this is a shop I can definitely recommend. One on the heavier side, which is often the case in this part of the country. And it was a bowl that reminded me of something you might get in Nara, for example. It had a rich chicken and pork-based soup with a seasoning that was on the saltier and sweeter side, at least when you had the soup by itself. And that saltiness and sweetness, and some of you might find that a little bit too salty or a little bit too sweet. I actually liked it, that powerful seasoning. But when you're sipping the soup by itself, you might be like, oh, this is a little bit too salty, a little bit too sweet for me. I didn't feel that way. If anything, it took my mind off the rich soup for a little bit. And that soup was rich, but not overpoweringly rich. Maybe it was because of that seasoning, giving you a little break from the soup. But besides being, let's say, quite rich, it also was very clean. Maybe this was because there was chicken bones mixed along the pork bones, and it wasn't as messy as a result if it were just pork bones, for example. So a delicious soup that was rich, but not overpoweringly rich because of the soup itself and the way it was constructed, but also because of that seasoning, giving you little breaks. Other breaks also came from white negi or spring onions, along with onions and mitsuba sprouts, which were a little bit of bitterness when you bit into them. Little fireworks almost as you were having that rich soup. The noodles were medium thick and straight, and they soaked up that soup like a straw. Overall, a great bowl of ramen, and I asked the chef between the two which one does he like better. He prefers the dipping ramen, or the tsukemen. Now, the dipping ramen is something that, according to him, also 80% of customers order. What's different between the ramen and the tsukemen is that, well, you've got the same rich soup there, but even more intensely flavored with that seasoning, as is often the case with dipping ramen or tsukemen. And those rich chicken and pork flavors are there, but you've got fish flavors as well. It wasn't too fishy though. That fish powder is just enough. But if you're not about fish, the ramen is there for you. Thicker noodles, and the tsukemen, of course, and otherwise a lemon to add a little bit of acidity and some contrast with that intensely flavored, still rich soup. Great bowl over at Mitsubo. We have to rush to our next place here in Fukushima because we are getting close to what is normally when ramen shops around here close, 3 p.m. for them to take their break before dinner. Let's go. Okay, so 3 back-to-back bowls. Heavy bowls here in Osaka. Already talked about the first place, Mitsuboshi. Now let's talk about ramen Jinsei Jet and ramen Kozou. It was almost like the ramen got heavier as the day went on, and this was a lot for me, not having a break in between. Although, to be fair, back in the day, this would still be a lot for me, doing 3 bowls. Not so much that it's 3 bowls, but the fact that they're 3 heavy bowls. So Jinsei Jet was not chicken and pork like Mitsuboshi, but just chicken. But even though it was chicken only, it had much more grittiness to it. Like it was purposely more messy. It tasted a lot more like a tori python, whereas Mitsuboshi was a smoother soup. Jinsei Jet, again, was grittier, messier. There were also little bits of chicken in the soup. I was kind of lost in the soup and all that chicken, but it was almost like a gravy going in that direction. And even more intensely seasoned than Mitsuboshi. And that said, I kind of preferred Mitsuboshi, although to be fair, it's harder to make an impression when you're the second and third bowl. That first bowl is going to stand out more naturally. I can understand why Jinsei Jet is also, like Mitsuboshi, a hyakumeiten shop. And I think it boils down to what you want to have. You got 2 great ramen options, dipping ramen included at Mitsuboshi, Jinsei Jet. Something, again, a little grittier, a little messier, purely centered on chicken. And last but not least, we had a heavier bowl, even heavier, even more gritty bowl at Kozou. And that was 100% pork bone soup. It reminded a lot of Muteppo. Muteppo is a ramen group based here in Kansai. They've got shops in Nara and Kyoto, Osaka, and they work for the most part with a soup that is purely just pork and water. And that's what this was. This was, again, even messier, even grittier, and it hit me over the head. But there's some condiments on the side there, 2 garlic related and then spicy takana that you could add to the soup to change things up. And those were very refreshing because I am currently out for the count just because of how heavy these bowls have been. Again, noodles were of similar thickness at Kozou as well, but they were frizzy and not straight like the other 2. It was a heavy afternoon, and I would say that my style of ramen is more Mitsuboshi, but there's something to be appreciated at Jinsei Jet and also, of course, at Kozou. Even though they fall under the heavy category ramen umbrella, I think that they are fantastic bowls of ramen if you look at each of them individually. Each ramen shop owner trying to encapsulate their ramen careers into a bowl. Osaka, you never disappoint, but you do leave me wanting to have a salad immediately after. That's what I'm gonna do. Well, at least wait a few hours until I get that salad. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this best of Fukushima ramen / best of Osaka ramen on the heavier side. I'm gonna tap out now. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you did, hit that like button, subscribe, and I will see you hopefully in the next video. Thanks for tuning in.